All right. All right. Okay, so tonight we are talking with three beautiful parents whose children are on the spectrum. I would love for these amazing moms to go ahead and introduce themselves, and we're just going to have, a nice kickback, chill conversation to build awareness because this is Autism Awareness Month. All
Mhm.
right. Who
You
everyone?
want to go first? Okay. Um, Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Jamie Bowers. I am the parent of a 20-year-old who is on the spectrum. His name is Corey.
Awesome. Nico.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nico Vale, and I am the parent of Micah Vale, who is on the spectrum.
Awesome. And how old is Micah?
Micah is about to turn 5, April the 15th.
Wow. All right. So let's go ahead and let's start off. Let's go ahead and start with Miko. First, let's understand what autism is. Autism deals with the struggles in communication and peer interaction. Sometimes when you see a child that you feel like is nonverbal, that is unable to hold eye contact, they're attached to certain preferred items or preferred actions or behaviors. You gotta think they may be on the spectrum. Um, but that's okay because something that I just learned, just because they don't have autism. What did you guys tell me?
I said
They,
Corey doesn't have autism. He's on the spectrum. He is more to me than that label. And so I never said I have a son with autism who's on, I'll say he's on the spectrum.
And you,
and I would say that they diagnose him with autism, but autism does not have him.
and that's how we want to put it. All right,
Mhm.
let's
That's
go
right.
ahead and get started. So, first we're going to talk about. We already talked about the name and the age. I would like for you to go ahead and let me know. We can start with Miko. You can go ahead and let me know when your child was identified, who were they identified by, and why. So that's
Okay.
the question.
Okay. Our son was identified by his daycare supervisor. Um, I always talk. I'm a talkative person, so I always talk and hold conversations. So that's why one day when I went to go pick Micah up, that's why she felt comfortable telling me. She said, "Well, your son is very intelligent. He can read all the signs on the wall. He surpassed everybody in his class and everything." And she said, "He's like a genius." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's pretty smart. He's been reading since he was 3." And everything. And she said, but I also noticed he's very withdrawal from other children and he wants to be alone and stuff. And she said, and I've seen this behavior before with one of my other students, and he had autism. She said, have you ever had him tested or anything? I said, no. I said, I just noticed that it is, in some things he's very advanced, and then some things I'm like, you too smart not to be, because even now he's not potty trained. But if we take him to the potty, he'll use it. But as far as him coming to tell me I have to potty, no, and that's very exhausting because I forget, to keep on asking him time after time. You got to potty, because I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I have a lot of things to do. So
Hmm.
it skips my mind. And so once she told us that, um, I went to action right away. I consult my husband, told him what she said. Men, they're a little harder to accept than women are. So he's like, oh, okay. So then I took him to our primary doctor, his pediatrician, and she then in turns um put in a referral for him to go to a psychologist. So the psychologist, she diagnosed him, but she didn't give him medication because he also have ADHD. So
Yeah.
So she diagnosed him and everything. And what was the last question you said?
So I think you already said like why he was, why we already hit that
Okay.
who identified
Okay.
him. So you did great. You were about to move on to the
Okay.
next. You did great. All right. So Jamie, who identified Corey, and why was he identified?
So Corey, growing up, he didn't talk like the developmental stages like other children did, and he mostly copied um what someone else said to him. So he used to make up words and stuff, but then like we knew who was around him all the time knew what those words meant. Didn't think anything of it. He started we were trying to potty train him and he was having difficulty with that too. But I got him into Head Start, and they started giving him speech therapy and stuff like that. And
No.
they worked with him and stuff. And as he went into kindergarten, first grade, and everything, he was diagnosed through the school system as being developmentally delayed, which is DD, and all the way up through eighth grade, age 8. And then after that, he I was thinking it's my first child. Is typical. I know everybody's different. With me working in school system, I knew that he was gonna be performing at the same level as everybody else, and I didn't expect him to. But he was just having difficulty with some things. Like he would never socialize with other kids unless it was his cousins. If you weren't related to him, like he wasn't gonna have it. If he didn't know you, he wasn't gonna have it. And so I took him to the autism. Well, first the doctor, his pediatrician, did a referral, and we took him to the autism clinic in Greenville, and they did a couple of tests. I shared his IEPs from the school system, and that's how it came to be that he was diagnosed with being on the spectrum. And so um, the why was just because when we were doing his IEP after age 8, like we couldn't pinpoint what exactly what category to put him in, because did he have a learning disability, or was it other health impaired? We just couldn't pinpoint it. And so talking to the doctor and stuff, she did that referral, and then that's what sent me to the autism clinic in Greenville.
Awesome. Awesome. And if anyone wants more information, you can reach out to the Autism Center over in Greenville.
Mhm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's ran by Chapel Hill.
Well, I yes, it is run through Chapel Hill, and they have several all throughout the state. So on Eastern North Carolina, it is Greenville, but then they do have one in the Chapel Hill area. They have one in Greensboro too. Teach is what it's called.
Teach. Yep.
Hmm.
I went through a program with them, and it gave me amazing information that I was not even aware of. I mean,
Mm,
you can teach with a child for years, but every child is different. And you got to be able to understand that Sally isn't going to do the same thing that Paul does. And the
right.
same triggers that David has, Emily not is not going to have that. So, yeah. So tell me, Miko, what were your feelings, your thought process, and your worries in that moment? They said, Miss Val, diagnose him.
Well, you know how the teacher on Charlie Brown, when he talks, that's how it sounded to my ears. Like, you know, it, it was like not my child. I prayed for him. Me and my husband prayed for him. And our children are 14 years apart. Then I felt like, God, I was too old to be trying to have a child anyway. So it was all self blame and everything like that. And I did withdraw myself from the world, so to say. I completely dropped out of social media which was probably for the best anyway, because I had to focus on my son. Everything that I had my hands in, it just fell to the wayside. It was all about my son, getting him the help that he needed. He goes to speech, he goes to occupational therapy, and then we have the behavior therapy that he have 5 days a week, and she comes to our house. So it's a lot. It's like I don't have a life now. As far as myself, um, my health, as long as I'm not on deathbed, I go without. I need therapy for my knees and everything, but hey, I have to take my son to his appointments. He goes to 4 appointments through the week outside of the house, and then in the house she comes 5 days a week. So it's not about nobody else but my son. So and it took it took a toll on me, spiritually, emotionally. Um, but I finally came out of that, and I came out to self pity, and I let me rewind. Before all that, I took my time trying to find him a therapist and stuff because it was just so much. And with us being a military family, it wasn't like I had loads of information just handed to me in my hands. I had to go and research. I had to talk to people, and even with that, I still had to put the footwork in to find the right people, find the people who would accept our insurance. And me, just like I am with my food, I look at your grade, I look at the ratings and everything. So I'm very thorough when it comes. I'm like, oh, they don't have a good grade, even though they close. I said, I'm willing to travel for my son. But then too, I had to think about, all these appointments he have. Am I gonna run myself? I'm up here in Virginia where 95 traffic is crazy. So it was like all this stuff just hit me all at one time. And so once I got over that and did my research and thank you, got myself together. Then I got over that, and then um, my brothers and sisters in Christ prayed for me, reading scripture. Anytime that the enemy make me think I'm defeated, greater is He that is in me than he that is in the world. God, He is my provider. He ordained me for this. I keep on telling myself, I said, God will not give me something that He hadn't ordained me for it. So for me and my husband to go through this, we are ordained and we are equipped for this journey. So that's what gets me through it. And sometimes I just want to feel like crying because I have a male, he's black, and then he has this, um, he's on the spectrum. I know he's not going to hurt nobody, but
Right.
if
Right.
somebody else die, they don't know he have this disability, so they'll think that he's trying to hurt them, but he feared them. So
Mhm.
that's my greatest fear, is that people don't know because he looked normal. He looked, is no detection or anything to say that he's on the spectrum. So that's why I have decals on my car on the side of his door. So if anything was ever happen, they would know, well, hey, this is an autistic child in here, and it tells you if they're afraid, he may be nonverbal, he may run away. And my son is a runner. When he get frightened or something like that, he'll run, and that scares me too because our house is so close to the neighborhood road and everything. So I ordered a autism awareness flag to put in my yard, so at least then the neighbors will know. Even though I might not speak to them or talk to them like that, they will know. Okay, she have autism child, so let's slow down at this house.
Right.
So that's my biggest fear.
Wow, good information. I'm glad. I just love, the rawness. Just, man, I'm overwhelmed. Jamie, think back. How did that make you feel in that moment?
It was double sided for me because I was like, I kind of knew in the back of my mind, and I always said he has those tendencies, but it was never confirmed until we were at the autism clinic. So at one end, I was relieved, and because it was something, and then on the flip side, it was like, okay. How did this happen? What did I do wrong? He was born 3 or 4 weeks early. I had to have emergency C-section. I was like, did that cause it? What in the world? Um, so it was just both. And I remember like being upset, and mom was like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean he has autism? Like he's still here, he's still doing this, he's doing that, blah 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 blah. So what's the problem? And I was like, well, I want him to be able to experience what I experienced in college and all that stuff. Who to say he's not? Like it was like that back and forth. And so with Corey, Mika, is interesting how you said that your baby is a runner. When Corey gets scared, he just stiffens up. Like we used to call him Stiffy because he would not move. He would just be still and that's it, like a statue, and would not like unclench or just release or anything. And so I also have other relatives with children on the spectrum, and all of them are the same, and on the flip side all of them are different. And it is just amazing how like they connect and interact with each other, but they all have their different things too. um Corey's was cars and video games. Like one time we couldn't figure out how to hook up the DVD player to the TV, and his little tail went up there. I was like, well, all you gotta do is this, that, and that, and he had it done because it was something that he wanted to see. Um, and stuff like that he could do. But then when it came to simple stuff, and that's what blew my mind. Like the most difficult stuff, he could get it just like that. But the simple stuff, it was like it was all went over his head, and it was just like, what in the world? So how am I gonna navigate in this world with this child? And I had to take it step by step. And he like I said, he's 20 now, and it was a point where I needed teach bad. And it was like I had to figure out what was more important, because with me being in administration, I didn't work a typical 9 to 5 job. It was a lot of stuff I had to do on nights and weekends. And it gotten to a point where um Corey had hit puberty, and he was like questioning and things and wanting to know things, and he gets anxious, like really really anxious about stuff. And when we he got diagnosed with being on the spectrum, they Greenville offered a whole bunch of stuff. It was group therapy for parents, group therapy for the entire family, group parent for the person that's on the spectrum. And I couldn't go because um, Greenville's like an hour and 15 minutes away from here. And it was a lot trying to juggle it. But then as he got older and stuff, I was like, okay, what's more important? And I started taking the time to take him um to Greenville, and he was talking to a therapist and stuff, and it helped me out tremendously. And it was like, okay, we got this village and we're doing it, but sometimes you need more people. You need to reach out and ask for help. So I am eternally grateful for that. And um a lot of people don't know, and I find myself a lot explaining stuff. Um because one time we were in the elevator, we got in, some guy got in pre-pandemic. He got in and he said something, and then he laughed, and Corey was like, that wasn't funny. And the man was like, oh, excuse me. And I was like, he's on the spectrum. And then another lady was like, hey Corey, how you doing? He was like, I'm fine. She was like, what you reading there? He was like, a book. Because he's very literal. And she was like, oh, excuse me. And I was like, no, he's on the spectrum. You asked him why he was reading. It was a book. My husband had mopped the floor the other day, and Corey was coming in, and he said, Corey, I mopped the floor in there. And Corey said, okay. And he still walked right in there, tracked right through the kitchen. And my husband was like, hey, I told you don't walk in there. The floor was wet. I said, you did not say that. You just said you mopped the floor. Had you said, do not go in there because the floor was wet, he wouldn't have walked in there. Or he knew that you mopped the floor. So it's like different things that you have to, that we do and we know to do, but other people don't. So I find myself explaining a lot, which I don't mind, just so you understand, he's not being smart mouth or anything. It's just how his brain works, and how you ask him questions. If you tell him to do something, you have to do it in a certain way that he understands. And that was the biggest thing.
Now, going back on what you just said, it was hilarious to me in that moment to think about my son. Now, I know some of you people that are watching, you're probably like, oh my goodness, my child might be on the spectrum. Oh my God, oh my God. Look, it's not the end of the world. But if you want to go see, it's nothing but a thing for you to talk to your child's teacher, and they'll be able to see and recommend, and suggest, okay, yeah, maybe we do need to get him looked at or her looked at. But I think about my own son, because it was times when I really thought that Christian was on the spectrum. And the beginning of our marriage with Jerome, he's old school. So it's, that saying, you better not say another word or say it again. If you say it again, you better not say it. Christian didn't know that. So he said, because Christian is used to me bringing his food to him. And Christian was like, oh, well, I was just used to people bringing me my food. My husband said, say that again. Christian said, I'm used to people bringing me my food. Say it again. I'm used to people putting my food on my plate and bringing it to me. Say it again. And Christian kept repeating it. And I told him, I said, children are different. So
Mhm.
even if your child is doing something that you hear these mothers talking about tonight, we're not saying, oh, yeah, you need your child's on the spectrum. But you have to also understand that the children that we are raising now in this society are different than the children that how we were raised. So back then, you say it again. No, I'm not going to say it again because I already know that means you better not say it. Children nowadays, they're going to say it again because they think that literally you are telling me to repeat what I'm saying. We also got to think about our children that are on the spectrum, because if you say something to them, they're not being smart. I love how you said that. They're not. And that's how Makai is going to be, Miko. It's going to be times when someone says something to him and he's going to be like, so what you doing today? I'm walking. I'm walking with my family in the mall. And it's not going to be that he's being grown, because that's what a lot of our, especially our
Mhm.
African American people, the first thing they say is, oh, he grown. Oh, he's sass mouthing. Oh, no, baby. That's not what it is. And that is why I wanted to do this video, so that people can be enlightened on what's really going on. 9 times out of 10, when you see a child breaking down on that floor in Walmart, in Target, in McDonald's, in KFC, if they're breaking down on that floor and you see a parent who isn't physically throwing hands on them, but is trying to take time and calm them down and de-escalate the situation, that child's not being bad. That child is going through something. And you as an adult, most definitely, you need to tell your children right there, don't stare. You don't know the situation. Keep it moving. And as an adult, don't you curl your lips up like, because I've done that. That has been me. Before I got into special education, that was me. I wish mine would. But now I'm here with that. And to have my children walk down the hall, and one of my babies, he broke down because he saw a dinosaur in another classroom, a toy dinosaur. Honey, he was not about to transition down that hallway. He broke down. I had to send everybody else, and I just had to let him deal with that in that moment. Sometimes you just got to let them deal with it in that moment. So if there's anybody out there who needs more information, please feel free to reach out. Also to reach out and teach, because they are the professionals, of course. But if you just need some ideas or suggestions or any information, feel free to reach out. And are you mothers okay if they reach out to you guys with anything?
And I'm quick to say everybody's not the same. So what works for me and mine may not work for you and yours. But yeah, I don't.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so where were we at? Feelings now. Okay, how are you guys? Jamie, I'm gonna start with you. How are you feeling now? You feel like you're over that hurdle. You feel like you still fighting it. You're in the middle. How do you feel? And that'll be next up for you too, Mika.
I'm still fighting it because every he's going through seasons. So, like I said, he's getting ready to be 20. He is considered a young adult, and um he's do whether his mental brain is at the age of 10, 15, whatever, people on the outside looking in see him as a 20-year-old black man. So whether he's being literal or not, that frightens me. He wants to go to school. He's supposed to be going to a school in Goldsboro, but they haven't opened up because of the coronavirus and everything. Um, I'm ready for him to go and learn about what he loves, which is cars. You know, Chanel, our family is car crazy. He wants to be a mechanic, which is fine with me. Um, he's not doing anything right now, and I don't like that, but it's always something. So once we get over this hurdle and he gets in school, and he's gonna be staying off and he gets that taken care of, then there'll probably be something else. But like, he is my one and only. I've never had a child on the spectrum before, and so everything is new to me. So once I get one thing under my belt, it's always something else. So it's just gonna be a continuum for me.
Hey, Miko.
Yes.
So tell me, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel like, oh, this is just beginning? I don't see the middle in sight. I don't see the end of the tunnel. Do you feel like, okay, I'm ready. I got this, or you just going? How are you? What are your feelings right now in this moment?
In this moment, I feel like, hey, whatever the journey is, I'm gonna go on that path. But in the past, because remember, my son just got diagnosed last year, the latter part diagnosed. But just like Jamie, I knew something was going on because I love to go to church, right? And we took that baby to church, and he was like this and crying. I said, Lord, it's Satan in this church, and we're gonna have to find another church. But it wasn't that. It was loud music and
Mhm.
everything. Even when we went to church yesterday, and we had church at the park, and my husband's like, well, why did you get close up? I said, well, it really don't matter where we at in the park. So I did have to go move a further away so that because he's like this, and it's crazy because they don't like loud things, but they like to play. My son like to play his devices loud. I'm like, can you turn that down? You know. But I did ask the therapist, and she said because they try to block everybody else out. That's why they play it so loud. But for me, it's mixed emotions still because this is still new to me, and my son just 4, but at least it was detected early. And I thank God for my husband and my daughter because she's 19, and she have such grace with her brother, and that really makes my heart melt because when I'm dead and gone, at least she understands, and I know that she can look after her brother and everything. And my husband, he he the financial side, he just try to buy him everything and stuff while I the one go through all the therapy and stuff like that. Um, and it's crazy because they do change. It's like Jamie said, it's seasons. Even with food, I have the hardest time. He might like something today, tomorrow he don't want it, and I'm like, oh God. And we spent tons of money. I'm just trying to find something that comfort him and stuff. I'm always doing research on kids on the spectrum and everything. So it's just like natural hair. You spend a lot of money on products because you don't know what your hair would take. That's the same thing with kids on the spectrum. You have to see what they take to and everything, and it costs money. So, but you want to make sure, other than therapy, that your child have everything he or she needs to move forward, and
Yep.
stuff. So,
Yep.
that's where I'm.
Corey, with the food thing, he only likes certain things, and he just got so that he'll try new stuff, but if he'll just take a little bit of it because he already has in his mind he doesn't like it. So he was like, I'll taste it, but I'm gonna tell you right now I don't like it. So he eats macaroni and cheese is his favorite thing, but he does not eat ice cream, cookies,
Micah too.
cake, nothing sweet. He don't want maybe peanut M&Ms, and that's it. Everything else, like when he would go to the doctor's office and they were like, "We're gonna give you a lot of pain." He was like, I don't want that. Like, don't try to bribe him with any kind of sweet things because that's what I would use to like, okay, you I'm gonna make you eat this lollipop or something. And he like, oh, I don't want that, so I'm at right. So he was like, I don't want none of that stuff. And you talk about the loud noises. I said earlier he loves cars and stuff. And my husband took him to the track in Cresswell and thought he was doing something. And he got out there and all that noise. Corey was like, you ready to go? And my husband's like, I thought you love cars. You can name every one of these cars and bikes and stuff out here. He's like, it's too loud out here. Like, he thought he was doing something, and he does love cars and engines and all that stuff, but I guess maybe on TV because he look at Fast and Furious all the way to 9, 10, 11, whatever number it is, and he can tell you everything by heart. And that's actually what taught he got him to talking was like TV, because earlier I said he was making up words and stuff, but looking at TV, rewinding it, playing it again, rewinding it, playing it again, he can tell you all different kinds of cars and stuff. But he don't. The track was too loud for him. He won't.
You know, it's funny because Micah, his fascination is with dinosaurs. He can tell you those long names. I'm like, okay. And my cousins always they joke with me because I be making up words. So, but he be telling me what they are. And
Uh,
another thing that he got, this boy, he love to smell people's feet, and I don't. I'm like, oh my god, my OCD has been cut off because I just gave up because I'm like, Lord, I'm gonna kill myself trying to wipe him off and everything and stuff.
mhm,
That's one thing I had to overcome too. I'm for real because it's like even with the barbershop, I just started taking him back and they had little toys in there and little hairs all on there. And I'm like, no, I said, we gonna have to go back to the car. I said, can you just call me? Because he
mhm,
needs to be in the car straight to the seat. It
mhm.
ain't no waiting around
Right,
because he being everything and stuff. So I had to learn how to adjust and make it okay for me to be comfortable. So, so when we wait in the car and let the barber come out and say, come on in, we don't wait in there and
right.
stuff. The boy love feet. If he see y'all here, take off your socks and smell. Yeah, that boy, what's wrong with you? But yeah, they have those fascinations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, honey. And that's something that I learned with teaching children on the spectrum, honey. They need a schedule. Because if you feel like that, oh well, honey, today we just gonna wake up and we ain't gonna do nothing, or today we just gonna wake up and go to the mall. No, baby. If you know that you like to go to the store or anything, you better say, okay, every time we ever go to the store, we're going at 2 o'clock. If we ever go anywhere or do anything, we're gonna have it with a set schedule. So Miko does schedules and everything like a constant routine that works out for Makai.
Baby, it's Micah.
Oh, Micah.
Because it's funny because Tori middle name is Micaiah, and she keep on laughing every time she hear you say that.
I got a
But
student. I got a student named that too. I'm tearing this up. You hear me?
but with Micah, he go to school. He go to pre-K 2 days a week, and there's only half days here. So I try to still have him get up at a certain time in the morning and stuff like that, and I do his therapy. um I try to space it out because it would make for him a long day with school, with
Yeah.
speech, occupational, and then behavior. So I try to space it out and try to get some playtime in there and everything. So it right now a schedule is kind of hard with all his therapy, and sometimes I can't go at the same time
Right.
every day and stuff. So it's kind of hard. And you're right, they do like a schedule and everything. And that's what I'm trying. And me, I'm a planner, so I love scheduling. So that would be perfect for me. But with his therapy not the same time or the same days every day, it kind of make it a little harder. So
Yeah, and Corey, that he's struggling now because he graduated from high school last year, and he had that set schedule every day, and now he's just like, okay, I'm just waiting for school to start, and like he really wish that he hadn't graduated and that he was still in school, and I was like, good
Oh,
things, better things are coming. Just hold on. But when he was small, he would go to school Monday through Friday. Saturday morning, he get up and it won't school. He was hot. He had temper tantrums, crying and stuff, and then get him straight Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday wake him up to go to school. He was like, "I didn't go yesterday." Like it was like a hard transition, and he had to figure out, weekday schedules different from weekends. But it took some adjusting. But he is like when he was in school, he was the timekeeper. They always knew. He always had to tell his teachers and stuff. What was for lunch. He just had to know that stuff. And when he gets like, if it's a 2 hour delay or an early release and the schedule is different, like we had to communicate with the teachers and stuff, and they figured it out too. Let him know. Because once he knows the schedule, he's fine. But if like say thunderstorm is coming and they had to do an early release or something that was not scheduled, like it would tear his nerves up.
oh yeah.
And so he functions very well with the schedule. Um, Better as a when he was younger, but now, I mean, he sees that like stuff happens. And I said, he had autistic tendencies way from the beginning. Well, I feel like I do too, because like if something I plan stuff and something happened and throw a kink in, I'm like, what in the world? Like it messes me up, but I know, I can keep it moving or whatever. But like I feel like everybody has those tendencies. It'd be a little thing here or there, but you just have to like, okay, that didn't happen the way I wanted it to or how I planned it, but how can I fix it? How can I keep moving? Because the world gonna keep spinning. So
Yeah.
let's go. And that's what I keep telling Corey. Okay, that's not what you thought was gonna happen. But what else can we do? How can we fix it? Let's do something else. What you want to do? And as he got older, it got better. But he still prefers like set time for everything.
Yeah. That's what it be like. And I need to be like that, right? My kids used to be like, Miss Nola. That's exactly how he used to talk because he would change his voice. Miss Nola, you're late. 2 minutes late. It's over. I'm done. And he will fall out. And I knew he would do it, but I would just be running late. But that's what I had to deal with. And he was in middle school and tall, taller than me, long as I don't know what. And I won't about to pull on him. I just sit Indian style next to him and he'll say, "Oh, wait, I got 3 more minutes because we're about to move on." It's like he knows it. He
Mhm.
knows it. And they know what they're doing. And sometimes you'll be like, "Oh, well, now you just playing me now." Let it roll, still let them be them, because once you shut them down, I've seen it where they would just start, they would decline, and then you have to build them back up, back to talking, back to being able to communicate what your needs are. It's terrible, and I feel for parents, and I know it can be hard. Mika, I don't know if you dealt with that yet, but really trying to do everything in your power to make sure that he likes what's going on, and or you understanding, is he afraid, is he happy, is he like, what, you don't know what's going on. That's got to be like the toughest thing ever. That's like with the infant.
That used to burn me up. Corey would not tell you how he's feeling. Like he's passed out so many times because he has asthma. Passed out because he wasn't feeling well. Like he thinks that everybody should look at him and can tell if he's not feeling well or if he's happy or whatever. And I was like, Corey, you gonna have to tell these people. And that is my thing, because I may not be here tomorrow, but I want you to be able to function in this world. If you like, we go to a restaurant, I let him order his stuff. He doesn't make eye contact, and he never has. But if he can tell you what he wants and it comes to the table, like he does not like ice. So if they bring him a drink with ice, you be like, "Excuse me, I don't want ice." Tell them, because they can't tell just by looking at you. You got to talk to him and tell him. And he always thinks that if he doesn't feel good, I can look at him and tell. But everybody can't do that, and I'm not gonna always be around.
Yep.
That was one of the things that I was concerned about when he first got the diagnosis. Like, oh my God, he ain't gonna be able to tell me when he's hurting, where he's hurting at. But I do thank God because, like, if he do hurt something, he'll say, "Oh," I said, "What happened?" He said, "I hurt my toe or I hurt my finger." So I do thank God for that. Not saying that everything, but that was one of the things. I'm like, Lord, this little boy here, and he is 110% boy, so rough. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna stay in the emergency room. But yeah, he do come to me and say what he heard. So, and like I said, every child is different. We all gonna
Mhm.
have struggles in different areas and stuff. And that's why when I did find out that other people too, I could not. I was like, well, dang, they still working and they doing this. I can't compare myself to them because I don't have their child.
Right.
And so this is what works for me. My husband allowed me to stay at home with our son and stuff while he, be the breadwinner, and we okay with that. That works for us, and I make sure he took all his appointments and everything and stuff. So I have no problem at all with that. So yeah.
And what I did with school, I let all his teachers know, like everything. Like he doesn't like this, he doesn't like that. He won't tell you what's going on. I said, but if you feel like if you get to know him and you feel like something's not right, then give me a call because I'll come. And it was one time that he was freezing in the classroom, and everybody in there was like it was hot in there, and the teacher sent him to the nurse because she was like, he's shivering and he's cold, but he never said he felt bad. And she asked Corey, did he feel bad? No, was he all right or something? It was the way she asked it, and she said he was fine, but she could tell. And she called me and I got him and took him to the doctor. He had strep throat.
Oh
And
man.
like he will not tell you. And you know, the teacher didn't know that he was feeling bad, but she knew something wasn't right because everybody in there sweating. She had took off her sweater and he's shivering. And so I mean, it takes a village, and it's no shame in my game. Where we go, okay, this is how he is. Like you gonna be with him this semester, or you got him this year. This is how he is. Get to know it because he's not gonna share it with you.
Right.
Oh yeah, and I have his teacher phone number on speed
Right,
dial. We text each other like
right,
and stuff and everything, and I love that, and I have to be the advocate for my child.
right.
Just like you said, Jamie. Every year, whoever like, I'm gonna be there to that meeting.
Mhm.
We Google Meet right now and everything, and he's about to come up for his what is it, IEP? What is it? That's
His
what it's called.
annual, his
Yeah,
annual.
because he'll be starting kindergarten, so I meet with the kindergarten. So I'm gonna ask them, are y'all gonna be able to provide him for what he needs, to progress and everything. So if not, I was told that the school will work with you, so they can put him in a school that can accommodate children on the spectrum, so he can excel.
Yeah.
So, but so far so good. He loved to catch the school bus and getting back to that schedule when the school bus wasn't running one day, but they still had school. I had to take him. The teacher said he had a bad day because he didn't take the bus. And
Hmm.
that's the thing about those kids when they so used to it, anything could throw them off. And so she said he didn't. She said I think it was the bus because he kept on saying bus. He loved to ride the bus. And that was another thing that I feared because I took Tori to school. I
Hmm.
used to take her to school and pick her up, but I'm like, Lord Jesus. So yeah.
What is something, Miko, that you wish you would have knew in the beginning? Like you wish, like the you are now today, that if you could go back in time and say, homegirl, let me let you know this. What would that be?
As far as me, I wish I would have known he was on the spectrum because then I wouldn't um, I would have been more prepared. I think I kept on saying, he should be doing this, but people say, oh, he's a boy. Boys take longer. So, Toy was a girl. She was walking at 9 months. She was off the bottle at at one, and she was potty trained at one. So I'm like, okay, I know boys are slow, but they can't be this much slower,
Mm,
and everything. So for me, it would be if I would have had the knowledge to not to not just take it for granted. Okay, he's a boy and he gonna it's slower and stuff, because it was like something is wrong, and I kept on saying that. But as a parent, we don't want to think that our child is different, and stuff like that. And like I said, with me, I prayed for him. So I'm like, okay, God, you gave me a son, but then you put some in the wine there. He got this disability, but at no point in time was I mad with God, because I know God blessed us with him. And I do believe this is gonna be a testimony, that he gonna tell when he get older and everything, how God healed him and stuff. So I keep on praying scriptures over my son and speaking it in his life every day. And that's why I tell my husband and my daughter, I say, y'all have to do the same, even my family. One aunt, she said, I pray for Micah all the time. I said, well, thank you. And I hope you're praying for me too. I don't want to say that part, but I need the strength,
yeah.
because we do, even though we know this thing, it it tires you out. It tires you out physically, and it tires you out mentally and everything. So that's the only thing for me. I wish I would have known um more about um to even look for on the spectrum, because it's something that I never thought until he was
Mm,
diagnosed with it. You
mm.
know, I never really thought about it. And now I see that there are a lot of children that are diagnosed on the spectrum that, and a lot of parents, their child probably have it, they don't even know or
Mhm.
won't accept it, or won't accept it. But it's best to get them help when as soon as you find out, because that give them a greater chance of being successful as an adult.
I just saw something the other day, a documentary. Amy Schumer, I think her husband that she met, he's a famous chef. He was just diagnosed with being on the spectrum, and he's 30 something. So
He way old, yeah.
yeah, so that's
And I believe that. I believe that. I mean, now I'm going on 32 this year. And I told my mom, I said, Mom, way back when Miss Holton in Crestwell was my teacher, when she said, you might want to take her to, to talk to somebody. My mom automatically assumed that, oh no, you ready to label this black child, this black girl. No, I ain't got time for that. I wish my mama would have said, yeah, let me take her to somebody. Because I really believe that it's I don't want to claim nothing, but I know that there are still some things that I'm still dealing with as an adult, that I feel like if they were identified as a child, that I probably wouldn't have had the temper that I had, that I wouldn't have lashed out with fighting, as to where I needed to be the one that, just talk things out. In my mindset, fight or flight. Mine was always fight. I ain't flight nothing. I'm a flight towards you. And I wish that my mama would have had somebody to talk to me and say, hey, that ain't right. That ain't how your mind should think. So I really appreciate that. Jamie, what
mhm.
would you go back to tell your back then, right now, what you know now? What would you wish that someone would have told you in the beginning?
That it's all right. Cause I tried to do everything myself, try to shelter him, and I was like, oh, he doesn't do this. He didn't like going outside, and I was like, oh, he's not gonna go outside, and he's not gonna do this. But because he was always afraid to try, and I didn't push him, and so when he did try stuff and he ended up liking it, it was like amazing to me, and so it was just like. it's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to let him fall down and get back up. Everything's a learning process. So I just wish somebody was just, it's okay. It's not your fault. Just take it one step at a time.
I truly thank Miko and Jamie so much for coming to share such deep and personal, just sharing what's been going on. Miko, I know a lot of people, I follow you on social media, and I know a lot of people are like, wait a minute. What where's Miko at? Where's Queen at? Where's she at? So when you dipping in and dipping out and dipping in and dipping out, it's just like, wow, you know, I didn't know that. Even when you first told me what was going on, I was like, wow, I didn't know that that's what you were going through. But I felt like that there was a higher being to send me to text you and then to find out what was going on. And I'm like, what? So then when I told you about my nonprofit, I was like, I hope she don't feel like this is me trying to be like, oh, well, let me tell you to hire me as an advocate. But I just felt like that higher being made me reach out. Something had to happen for us to connect, for me to find out what was going on. And I'm thankful because I know that this conversation with you and Jamie tonight is going to help somebody. I thank you guys for coming on. If you watch this video tonight, I want you to drop a blue heart below in the comments. I want you to share it, and I want you to put some blue hearts on it. Okay. All right. It's probably plenty of babies out here that have not been identified. And if you think that your child might need to be identified, talk to the teacher, talk to the daycare worker, anyone who deals with your child, even you, if you need to reach out to someone, talk to your pediatrician. There is ways to get the resources and the assistance that you
Right.
need. And one thing for sure, pick up a book and read or do some research online. It doesn't hurt. One thing that is so true, that amongst people, I ain't gonna say amongst a certain race, but amongst people, if you don't want them to find it, they say put it in a book. Let's stop that right now, okay? Let's look into some research, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. I'll be happy to help you. Like, share, and subscribe. Check out our Instagram, check out our YouTube. This is going to be on all the platforms. I thank you guys for tuning in. Drop some blue hearts for everybody, okay? All right, we're sending up nothing but love and support for Corey and Makai. All right,
Micah.
Thank you
Micah,
so much.
I'm telling you, if my student's mama see this, she gonna say, so you must talk about my baby. No, I promise I haven't. Micah, Micah, Micah. In the
And
name.
Chanel, I just want to say to parents out there, do not feel like, don't be afraid. Get your the child the help that he or she needs.
Right.
You will be so grateful in the long run. Get those babies some help. Put your pride away. It's all about your
Mhm.
child. You want to
Right.
set them up for a successful life.
That's right. Yep. They still got to live in this world too.
I appreciate it. Jamie, did you have anything you want to tell our followers on this evening?
I was just co-signing what Mika was saying. They got to live in this world too, and we all got to live in it together.
That's it. Okay, guys. I thank y'all so much. Drop some blue hearts, okay, guys? We love y'all. Peace out.